So we're just going to cut some chickens up. I've got 2 chickens here, as you can see. A medium one, £3.25, that serves 3 to 4, and a larger one serves 6 to 7, 4.67. That works out to 1.3 times more money. We're going to see if the breasts are 1.43 times bigger in a minute. So the first thing we're going to do with these is take the wrappings off. I've got a dish to put my chicken in when it's done here. I've also got some scales with the cling film on. So as you can see, it's £3.25, and what I've done is on here, this is the weight of this is about 1.6 kilos. This is just over 2 kilos. So when I look through them, you pay so much per kilo, so the bigger ones cost more money. Sometimes, if they're all the same price, sometimes I look through them and just get the bigger one, because then you get a better value for money. So you don't need the rubbish. Let's put that in the tray for a minute. So I'll do the big one first, because you'll remember, but we normally do medium ones at school. So you cut the leg off, you cut down here, this is just skin down here, so just cut through the skin really. So then you sort of turn it over, and you can hear that noise, and you can cut through here. Oh, obviously we don't need the Parsons knife, do that bit there. Now here we can cut this into 2, and this is the drumstick and the thigh. So we just cut straight through. If you know where to cut, you can cut straight through there. We can leave the skin on, but you can cut the skin off. So now we take the other leg off. Cut through, it's only skin, turn it round, and just cut through there. And then as long as you know where to go. So this is hard to find. The people normally struggle with this. See this bit here? You cut straight through here. So cut straight through there, and you miss the bone. That's a bit of practice though. Then we're going to cut the wings off. So I don't like these little wing tips, so we don't need them. We're going to discard them. Yeah, because there's not much meat on them. Then we cut straight through there. The other one. Now I can cut the other bits wings off straight away, or I can cut them off with the breast. So you can cut these now, or sometimes I take the breast off, because you sometimes in some restaurants they serve them with these little wing bits on. So I'll just put it all in my tray. So this is the tricky bit. So you need to do it without leaving too much breast on the bone, which most of the people do. So we're going to cut one of the sides, just the right side at the moment. And then we're going to hit the wishbone. So wishbone's here. Now if we don't cut through the wishbone, we lose all this meat here. So we have to sort of crack through the wishbone, you probably heard it. Spin it round this way. And then you can use a smaller knife if you need to now. So here we're going to try and do it with leaving no meat on the bone, or as little as possible. And what we do in the class is I go around taking one breast off for each pupil normally. Because they all have different sized chickens, because they bring their own in. And then they have to match it, but we're all going to use medium chickens this time, so then they won't need to do that. I'll give the medium chicken and they can, and then they have to beat their partner, because they can have half a chicken each. So I've got this big sucker, that's huge breast, but when we weigh it, we're going to do it like you buy it in the shop, with no skin and no winglet on there. So we take that, cut that bit off in my tray, we're going to use them, and then we use the wings for either barbecue, which is probably the most well known, or tandoori, one of those two. So as you can see, it's a nice big breast. I'll take the other one off, and they should be reasonably similar. So cut down through the wishbone again, and we can't have the wishbone here, so before I weigh it, the wishbone will be tiny, but we need to take that out as well. And when the pupils weigh theirs as well, because we're going to have a bit of a competition in the class, the ones with the heaviest might win the prize. So all the way down, and we just cut through the, as you can see, it's a huge breast, well over 300 grams with the wing on. Take the wing off, and then there might be a little wishbone in here. I can peel it there, so you can see it there. I can just pull it out with my fingers, or I can cut it out with a knife, either way. Yep, so you need to take the wishbone out, because nobody wants the bone. And then if you're going to cook it whole, you could keep the breast skin on and take it off afterwards. You don't want to eat the skin, but that will keep it more moist, so that's a good idea to do that. But I'm just going to dice this up for curry or something. So, but if I was keeping it whole and I was going to cook it, then I'd keep the skin on, unless I was wrapping it in bacon or something. So I reckon these are roughly 300 grams. So we've got some scales here. Just going to move the chopping board out of the way a bit. I've got some cling film on there so I don't contaminate the, switch it on. There'll be about 300 grams ish. I don't think I've taken a bit of the wishbone out here, so there's a tiny bit of bone in here. So when the kids come up to weigh it, I'll make sure they take, because obviously we don't want any bones or anything or cartilage in it. So you see that bit, there's a tiny bit of bone in there, take the bone out. That's not, you can take that little bit out as well. So there shouldn't be any skin on it. There's a tiny bit of cartilage there, we can take that out as well. So we're going to weigh it roughly 200 grams, we're going to see. 337 grams, as you can see they're quite big, these are big ones, 330, and I don't think I've taken the one out. And if there's any blood here, you can see a little bit of blood there, you can take that bit out as well. I've got a little bit of bone there, I'll pull that out. And you can cut a little bit of blood out, people don't normally like seeing that in there. Yeah. So, oh, I think I've weighed that one. That was 337. These are going to be similar. 390. Oh, a bit of difference. 320 and 339. Maybe when I took the first one off, I nicked a bit off the other one. So as you can see, looks not much meat on each side. So that's pretty good. That bit goes in there. So altogether, 320 plus 337 on it. 338. So that's 658. 658, so I'm going to try and remember that. 658, not going to write it down yet because I don't want to pick the pen up with my dirty hand. So now the next one, I'm going to get the scales out the way, chopping board back on. I'm going to cut it all actually first and weigh it all four at the same time. That would have been a bit more sensible actually. So that one's finished with. So as you can see, a fair bit size smaller, but is it 1.43 times bigger? Probably not. Per kilo, it worked out slightly cheaper for the medium ones. But if you've got 5 in your household and you don't think this is big enough, you might be better off buying the larger ones. Cut through here again, unless you want whole legs. But at school we use this for southern fried chicken. And they take ages to cut this up at school, and most of them struggle with this. Cut through here, wings off, other wing off, breast, through the wishbone. You can take the breast out of the skin off first if you want to, but don't bother doing that. It's easier to take it up, quicker to take it up afterwards. Sometimes I buy 5 or 10 and do them all at the same time, and then I make loads of chicken Kievs and put them in the freezer in bags of 3 because there's 3 of us in our household. Whip the winglet off, and I'm normally the one that eats the wings because my wife and my son don't like fighting with the bones too much. Anyway, this works out a lot cheaper by cutting them off, and my wife and my son both like the actual legs more than the breasts. So that's one reason I do that. Some people just buy breasts all the time because that's all they ever like. But if you like the legs, you're better off buying the whole chicken and having to have different dinners with the legs and the breasts. Or you can just roast it whole, obviously. We do that sometimes as well. That's a bit plain. As you can see, I haven't left too much on there. There's a little bit of meat on the underneath called the oysters, so you can just chop them off. I'm going to boil these up for stock and make some soup with it tomorrow, both of them. So you can cut a little bit off, it's got a bit of skin on, take the skin off. Then we get a little bit of meat on the oysters. So these are going to be obviously under 300 grams. They were 328 and 3, so these should be, in theory, for the same value of money. These are going to be between 250, 270 or something. They should be roughly about that, we're going to see. So, and then when we do this at school, if we're all using the same size chickens, I won't take one off each. Normally they have a whole chicken each, but we're going to do half chickens at the moment, because normally they bring their own in, but the school they're going to supply them where they paid the money. So we're going to weigh these. So 658 with the other ones. I'm going to weigh both of these one at a time. 250, 2, add 258, 510. So I'm just going to wash my hands. Just going to wash my hands. Move the scales. So 2. So the first one was 658. I think I need to weigh these again. Just forgot they were 310. Oh no, were they? No. Forgot what they were already. Look. They were 200 and something, because they were 200 and something. 510. That's right, 510. So I think it's slightly cheaper for the medium ones. So it's 510. Alexa, what's 658 divided by 510?
658 divided by 510 is approximately 1.2902.
Ah, so they're 1.43 more expense for the whole chicken, but it's 129, only 1.29 bigger. So you're slightly cheaper buying the smaller chickens, but they were slightly more expensive per kilo. One was 203 and one was about £2.20 a kilo. That's probably where it counts for that. So last thing is obviously a red chopping board. So we need to wash that up thoroughly, and the red board and the knife, and wash our hands thoroughly. With the red chopping board, we need to scrub it with some hot soapy water and then sanitize it, pour boiling water in it, put it in the dishwasher. There's a few ways for that, and the same with the knife. Now, the food poisoning bacteria are, most people know Salmonella, E. coli, Listeria. They're the three easy ones to spell. Salmonella, if I ask most of my pupils, they're probably the first one they go to, but you can also get Listeria, E. coli, Campylobacter, and Clostridium perfringens. Now, they're not very common, so I've left that there. Don't know if you can see, you can't see that, so I'm going to put that there for a minute, because those ones are quite hard to spell, and then that will help you out doing that. So I'm just going to move that down a bit, or move it up a bit. Just move it up so you could, the Salmonella and E. coli and Listeria are quite obviously easy to spell, but the other ones are quite hard. So I'm just going to do it under here as well. Thank you.